Alrighty, guys. So for today, I'm going to be switching over. We're going to be doing UC prompt number 7. We're going to finish up prompt number 8 today as well. But I'm going to switch over the style here. I got some feedback. I'm going to try to keep it shorter. And I'm just going to simply run you guys through how I would approach this problem. What are the things I would think of? What are the things I would prepare? What are the things I would watch out for? I'm also not going to do the splash screen because I want for my thumbnail to show something else. I'll figure out thumbnails later, but bear with me, guys. UC prompt number 7, community. Let's dive right in. All right, first, here's the prompt. What have you done to make your community, your school, or your community a better place? Things to consider. Pay attention here, guys. I really like these things to consider sub-questions. In fact, if you followed and answered every single one of these questions just down the line and stitched those answers together, you would have a pretty decent start for your draft here, for your essay here. I really think so. So pay attention. Think of community as a term that can encompass a group, team, or place, like your high school, hometown, or home. You can define community as you see fit. Just make sure you talk about your role in that community. Was there a problem that you wanted to fix in your community? Why were you inspired to act? What did you learn from your effort? How did your actions benefit others, the wider community, or both? Did you work alone or with others to initiate change in your community? I think the thing that resonates with me here is they're being very willing to allow you to choose a community that's not a conventional type. We know what the obvious conventional communities are: family, home, neighborhood, club, extracurricular activities after school, sports teams, etc. I think they're allowing you nowadays to do more Zoomery stuff. You can mention communities on Discord, communities online. So I think that's pretty cool. Think of it that way. Broaden your approach to what you can consider as the communities you're a part of. And then the rest of it is very simply describe your activity, describe your role. What did you do? What did you learn? What did you realize? How to write essays, how to write this. This is a slide that I have for every single video. In fact, I'm going to make it a point that anytime I'm going to upload anything about essays, this slide is going to be in there. Guys, if you want to write really good essays, you have to spend your time doing research first. Okay. Too many students come to me and they say, I don't know what to write. And they haven't even went online or on Google to even try looking at examples. Either you have 100 hours of doing research and reading examples and looking up the right searches, or you only have 1 hour, or some students even have less. Just think about that. If you have 100 hours of doing research on this topic and reading examples, you're going to have a huge advantage. So if you're struggling and you say, I don't know what to write, that's an easy problem to solve. It's called Google, guys. So make sure you go online. What would I research if I had to get started? I had no idea what I wanted to write. Here are some of the things. Number one, why is community service important? You want to figure out the qualities and the details of like what you want to take out as a value from this. How community service helped me grow. Qualities of a good volunteer or volunteer. What I learned volunteering for X. You can replace that X with that community. Qualities of a community leader. I'm not saying this has to be about leadership, but do you see how I'm mixing around my search, the variables of my Google search, just so I can read as much as I can? Do this for 2 hours. Do this for 5 hours. And I promise you, you're going to immediately walk away with a much better understanding of what's a cliche, what's not, what are some of the qualities that I can personally vouch for. I'm not asking you guys to plagiarize. I'm asking you guys to just go online to the wealth of knowledge that's out there, all the examples that are out there, and find the personal aspects that you personally resonate with. Tips on choosing the best experience or activity. There's really, you want to try to be as unique as possible, or as personal and specific and as meaningful, feel goody as possible. Okay, so the unique experience is not always the easiest to pull off. Unique experiences could be like those Zoomer options where you are a moderator for a popular maybe Reddit thread or whatnot. Or it could be more kind of down to earth, but still pretty strong, like City Youth Council and how you helped with the homelessness initiative for your city over the last 2 years. The not unique example that I get all the time for this prompt is STEM Club. Oh yeah, I helped underprivileged children learn STEM, learn sciences. Man, you know how many times I hear that each year? I'm not saying that's bad, so that gets to the second bullet point. If you can't come up with a unique or strong experience, then here are some pro tips. Number one, try to just be more specific. So pay attention to this. Generically, students will write, taught underprivileged students STEM. One way you can immediately shave that, like sharpen, chisel that to be less cliche and less gross, is specific things like taught the after school youth students of Anaheim introductory physics and algebra. See right away how much more detailed that is, how much more there is to cling on to as a reader. The other pro tip is to get very personal. So you could say, assisted underprivileged kids with their STEM homework. Gross, potato. Versus specific. Worked with John and Taylor on developing their mental math skills. So it's like you're zeroing in on something more specific. Those are the two pro tips I'd give you. If you're struggling with finding what you want to say, start by researching. And then if you still can't figure out how you want to say something to make you stand out in this topic, try to be more specific, try to be more personal. Tips on choosing the best realization. I say this all the time to my students. Cliche is not what you say, it's how you say it. So while there are common topics that students choose, i.e. the STEM tutoring for underprivileged children, the potential of this essay will depend more heavily on your realization. It'll also, by the way, it'll depend not only on the way you say things instead of underprivileged or STEM tutoring, as the example I showed before, but also for your realization. And what do I mean by that? If you said that I taught students underprivileged STEM tutoring, and your takeaway from that, your growth from that is, I want to help students learn, then it's not necessarily going to be a bad argument or a bad statement or essay quality. It's just, I wonder if you can be a little bit more sophisticated than that. I guess what I'm coming down to is a lot of students have very unsophisticated or very basic and straightforward realizations in personal growth. There's no twists or turns. There's no creative additions or extraneous benefits. And that's where I think combinations become very key here. So this is the third pro tip here. Guys, try to think of combinations of your realizations. So let's say you volunteered and you did STEM tutoring for underprivileged children. Ugh, just saying that's gross, guys. Don't say that. Don't write that. Instead of just saying what you learned is to be a community leader, try to go with the following 3 things you learned. Okay, so first is why you find the commitment rewarding and meaningful. So personally, why did I enjoy it? Why did I find it worth doing, despite having to find it very challenging or frustrating at the time? How you found your niche and personal way of contributing. So once you've done the activity, everyone can try to find a personal thing that they're good at in that situation. So if you're tutoring, maybe you're really good at describing or demonstrating. Maybe you're very good at rallying and encouraging, right? So this is where researching comes in. I would look up, if STEM tutoring is the only thing you've got, I'd look up like how to be a good teacher, or qualities of a great teacher, qualities of a good motivator, and I'd probably find something that way. And then the last but not least, for the combination, why you keep coming back to help. So your realization, if you break it into these 3 things, I think you'll have a combination that can hopefully overcome a majority of boring topics or boring concrete details, personal experiences. The overall structure of an essay, I'm not going to say this is what you have to do, but this is like black and white tuxedo. It's always acceptable in a formal environment, right? Structure, hook, paint a scene of you currently helping in the community, or describe the first day or the moment and reason why you decide to start. Then get into the activity itself, describe the role, make sure the who, what, when, where, why is all figured out, explain the actions you took, and then share any achievements or milestone. But don't overdo it, guys. Don't resume flex too hard. I think the big problem that I see is that students focus too much on resume flexing, and then they don't leave any room for what I think is more important than that, which is the reflection. What are reflections? Describe how you value the experience altogether. Define how it has shaped your values. Write about your future plans and hopes for the community and your commitment to it. These are all aspects I'd want to see, though, of course, structures are, I'm always flexible with structures, but if you don't know how you want to structure it, this is always good. Overall, I thought that this would be a simple way of getting you guys started. Again, do your research. Try to be specific, try to be personal. Um, Make sure that you're focusing on reflections. And yeah, I hope that this simpler format just gets us straight to the point. If there are more feedback points you want to offer me, feel free, let me know. Otherwise, yeah, let's move on.